Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shell Point Today for Tuesday, September 6th. I'm Rich Nation.
And I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi. On today's show, we'll hear about the TV channel upgrade that Technology Services will be performing, and Michelle Tompkins of Resort Services will take us to the Shell Museum for a sneak peek of what to expect from the Mollusk presentation on Thursday.
But first, don't forget about the seafood lunch outing. If you enjoy fresh seafood and waterfront dining, then you will definitely love the next outing coming up on Wednesday. You'll enjoy lunch at the Laishley Crab House in Punta Gorda. Feast on blue crab, Alaskan king crab, and snow crab. It's all fresh and arrives daily. There's also steaks and sushi on the menu. Lunch selections range from $9 to $13, and the cost of the outing is $8. Court pickups begin on the island at 10 a.m., so be sure and sign up.
An exciting activity taking place on Thursday is the tea dance in the Grand Cypress Room. The Resident Dance Committee has been promoting social dancing at Shell Point since 2011. It's one of the many enjoyable activities available here that you can take part in. The early evening tea dance begins at 4 p.m. and tickets are just $5 each. You can get your tickets from any of the Resident Dance Committee members. Their phone numbers are listed on the screen. There's going to be significant upgrades to your cable TV service. More high-definition channels will be added, as well as several technical improvements. To hear more about it, the Manager of Technology Services, Burt, is in the studio with the details.
Well, hello, Shell Point. Rich Nation here, and I have Burt in the studios with us. He's the Manager of Technical Support Services, and he keeps your television up and running from behind the scenes. A lot of technical stuff going on, and Peter, I understand something exciting is happening very soon, and you guys are doing a major upgrade to the channels. Tell us about that.
Indeed we are, Rich. Good morning. It's nice to be here again. Overnight from September 6th and September 7th, we will be upgrading our system. And what that will mean for all our viewers out there is that we'll go from 40 HD stations to approximately 115 stations. So the upgrade really is to get everything into HD. Right now, a lot of our channels are just in standard def.
Which is, yeah, the high definition, much sharper picture, and the reason we all went out and bought those big widescreen TVs is to get that better picture. So, well, that sounds exciting. So that's a lot more channels they'll get in HD.
That's correct.
Now, you're adding some channels in addition to that, too,
We are.
right?
There's about 6 or 8. You know, we know what most of those are right now. I don't want to name them because the actual TV lineup that will be coming on the 7th hasn't been quite finalized. So I don't want to put something out there that we lose at the last minute.
Right, right. Okay, so when they get this lineup, are they going to get something like to tell them, like a preview guide?
Yeah, we'll have new lineup cards printed. They should be going to the printer very soon, and those we plan on distributing the day of the 6th, the day before the turnover. So they'll have them in advance.
Okay, wonderful. So they'll know exactly what they're getting. Okay, so the 6th, is that going to be like during the night that's going to flip over?
It will be. So we disrupt their services the least amount possible. We'll pull the plug, as they say, about 11 o'clock on that Tuesday night. All the equipment that's there currently will actually be forklifted out of that room and down, and the new equipment will be forklifted up and connected overnight. With any luck at all, it'll all be up and running about 6 o'clock the following morning.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, you say it's all going to be up and running, so they just turn on their TV the next morning?
Yeah, I wish it were that simple. Unfortunately, it's not. Since we're squeezing a lot more channels into the system, the way the digital world of TV works now, all the TVs will have to be reprogrammed. Along with the TVs, set-top boxes, TiVos, Apple TV, and Roku units, and the like will all have to be reprogrammed. So that's going to be time-consuming. We're hoping a lot of residents are able to do that on their own, but if not, we'll have staff to assist them.
Okay, so it's possible people could actually do this just with their remote and going into the settings of their actual TV?
Yeah, and I believe there's a lot of residents out there that are probably comfortable doing that, some that may not be, but what we would ask is that they at least try, because they can't lose anything by trying. You know, worst case is they still have no channels. Best case is they're successful and they've got TV to watch before we are able to get there and do it for them.
Okay, so that's the last line of defense, so to speak, is you guys will be happy to come out and program them.
Correct. That's going to be a monumental job, as you can imagine. So we just want to make residents aware. It could be a couple days before someone can actually get there to do that. So.
Right. Now, how does this affect, because I know some have TiVo and they have other devices hooked up. How will they get their lineup or their preview guide on screen? Will any of that change?
Yeah, it will. We send the information as far as our channel lineup out to one company. That company then disperses it to all those others where you may find your TV guides. For those that are using TiVo to record, which there are quite a few residents out there, if you're recording by program, it's not an issue. The TiVos are smart enough to recognize that, and no matter where that channel falls, it will still record. But if you're like the old days of a VCR and you're telling your TiVo to record a specific channel at a certain time, that channel or station is likely to move, so you're going to have to reprogram that
I see.
based on that information.
So we can find it and know that it's recording the right thing. Okay, so other than, we're going HD, so they're going to get more high-def channels. What are some of the other benefits to this?
Well, one of the great benefits for us from a technical standpoint is, how electronics are nowadays and technology. Every once in a while you get a glitch, whether it's due to a power surge or whatever. The DirecTV receivers, which is what we're using, will stop working. And sometimes you'll see that bouncing DirecTV logo on the screen, or they'll just be black. When that happens now, somebody has to physically go out to the head end and reset that receiver. With the new system, we're getting remote management. So theoretically, we can log into any one of those receivers, start it back up, or if it happened to glitch and change channels, we can change that channel remotely. So getting those corrected will happen much faster.
Well, that's wonderful.
It is. That's going to be great.
Especially with the sports, the football season coming.
Yeah, in
and
fact,
a lot of people
it
will be
happened
happy.
over the weekend. The NFL DirecTV receiver failed, and somebody had to come in and reset that. So.
Okay, so that'll be a great advantage. Anything else you want to add to this that they need to be aware of?
No, just appreciate their patience with this, this change. We understand that there's going to be some TVs out there we're just not going to be able to get to for a few days, and just really ask for their patience and bear with us. But it's going to be a great product when all is said and done. So.
Wonderful. And like you said, there's no set instructions that's going to work for every TV because there's so many different brands of TVs. They're all different.
The programming is all different. If residents have the internet and they want to Google their particular model of TV or whatever it is they're trying to reprogram, they can probably get the instructions from the internet, or maybe even go to YouTube. So.
And something else, they might have a neighbor down the hall that had success with their TV that might be willing to come help them with theirs.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. All right, so that's coming up September 6th. We will see a change and an upgrade in your TV. You'll get more channels, you'll get HD. There'll be a little bit of programming involved to program your TV so you can get those channels, but that's why Peter Burt and his team are here to help you get through that. And it's going to be exciting.
It's going to be very exciting, yes.
All right, so thanks for watching, and look forward to your new TV.
Thank you.
And now it's time to talk about the shells that are coming to Shell Point.
Yes.
This Thursday, you can enjoy a special presentation from the Bailey Matthews National Shell Museum. The museum is located in Sabal, but they are bringing all the fun and the shells right here to Shell Point.
I get it.
Okay. Learn all about the mollusks from a marine biologist in this 1-hour program that will take place in the Social Center at 2:15 p.m. For a much better understanding of what to expect, Michelle Tompkins of Resort Services recently visited with Rebecca Mensch of the Shell Museum.
Hi, I'm Michelle Tompkins with Resort Services, and I'm here at the Bailey Matthews Shell Museum on Sabal, talking to our marine biologist, Rebecca Mensch. Thank you for having us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Tell us about the program that you're going to be doing with our residents at Shell Point.
Well, we'll be doing kind of a combination of a type of presentation. There'll be a PowerPoint, as well as live animals there to look at, as well as some dry shells and things for some hands-on touching. So we'll be doing a short presentation, maybe about 20 minutes to a half hour of PowerPoint, talking about what is a shell, where do they come from, how are they made, what type of stuff do you find around here, and really getting into a lot more about those animals that are making shells, how they feed, where they come from, how they grow. and kind of displaying a different array of some of the local mollusks and shells that you're likely to find on the beaches here of Sanibel, as well as all of Southwest Florida.
Now, I just learned the difference between a gastropod and a bivalve. Can you tell us a little bit more about these shells, these mollusks, such as how do you know if one is a boy or a girl?
A lot of them you can't tell if they're a boy or a girl. So bivalves, the two-shelled mollusks, are often both male and female. This is a ponderous arc, one of our most common local shells that we find on the beach. And most bivalves function as a male and a female at the same time throughout their lives. So you could say they're either neither or both male and female. With a lot of the gastropods, the snails and slugs, there's a lot of different reproductive methods with these animals. This is a Florida fighting conch, another very common local gastropod. These animals are born either a male or a female, and that's the way they stay for their entire life, similar to cats or dogs. Just from looking at it like this, we can't tell whether it's a male or a female, but if it comes out and kicks, we might be able to see that it's really smooth up here. Right on the soft parts right there, that means it's a female. So with this one, we can tell this is a female. With these lettered olives, they're kind of moving around, they've got their foot out. With these animals, there's no way for us to tell if it's a male or a female without doing a dissection.
What else can you share with us?
Well, one big thing that a lot of people don't realize is that these shells that we tend to find on the beach dead are actually a permanently attached body part. This fighting conch cannot ever leave this shell any more than I could leave my arm behind. So it's similar to a turtle and their shell. Turtle shells are a body part, so is this shell of this animal. When we find empty shells on the beach, that is an animal that has died and the soft parts have decomposed. So for every single one of these animals, the shell is a body part for them.
Well, that sounds very interesting, and I know it's really interesting. I just sat with Rebecca a little bit ago to take a tank talk, discuss and learn about the live mollusks, and I did learn a lot of things, so I know our residents will enjoy this just as much as I have. What is your presentation called, and when will it be?
It's called Shells of Southwest Florida, and it will be this coming Thursday, September 8th at 2:15.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Please come on out to the Social Center next Thursday, September 8th at 2:15 in the Social Center for this live mollusk demonstration with Rebecca from the Bailey Matthews Shell Museum. We're looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it as well.
Thank you.
And now it's time to cover all of today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hello, welcome to the happenings segment of ShellPoint TV. I'm Bev Chandley, and I'm going to tell you the activities we offer for you here today at ShellPoint. We're going to start with a bright and early class, Bend, Breathe, and Balance. That begins in the Health Club at 7:15. Pickleball will be at the game courts at 8 o'clock. Also at 8 o'clock, we have the round robin tennis going on at the Woodlands tennis courts. Our stamp ministry will be going on down in the tunnel. That's at 8:15. At 8:30, the Ladies Golf Association will be at the Shell Point Golf Club. We have a caregiver support group therapy going on at 9:15. That'll be in the conference room of the Medical Center. Open painting will be going on in the art studio at 9:15. And we also have a 9:15 game of Shuffleboard going on down behind the Resident Activity Center. We have match play, mixed doubles tennis at the Woodlands at 9:30. 10 o'clock, the Suzy Q's heading to Woody's Waterfront Restaurant on Pine Island. You do need to sign up for those trips. Through the Bible study group will be in the Osprey room at 10:15. That concludes the morning lineup. In the afternoon, we begin with a 12:30 mixed progressive bridge game. That'll be in the game room of the Woodlands. Faith and fitness will be in the Grand Cypress room at 1 o'clock. And at 1:15, we have the knitters group, and they'll be in the Osprey room. Also at 1:15, the Women's Ministry's Prayer for Missions will be going on at the hospitality room of the Village Church. And the stamp ministry will be in the Sabal room at the Woodlands at 1:30. At 1:45 is the time for fun and fitness at the community room of King's Crown. Balance Basics will be in the Health Club at 2:45. Then we're going to jump all the way to 6:45 for our last activity, which is the hymn sing at the Resident Activity Center. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Colath, a manager in the Resident Life Department here at Shell Point. I manage your Academy of Lifelong Learning. Maybe some of you are new to Shell Point, and I'd like to take just a moment to tell you about our registration procedures. Many more of our residents are using our online registration system, and that's great. When you do use it, if you successfully do a registration request, a message comes up to you that you will look for your confirmation in Shell Point mail. If you elect to register at either service desk, which is our other option, you will also get a confirmation of your request in your Shell Point mail. And I urge you to look carefully at your confirmation to make sure that you did indeed get into the class you were trying to register for instead of being put on a wait list. Sometimes we have to have a wait list, and there's a good reason for that. Many of our instructors prefer a smaller, more intimate atmosphere. Perhaps they're teaching a painting class or a drawing class. Perhaps they're teaching a room full of people with their first iPads. Perhaps they're teaching people how to write more clearly, and they're sharing, and they want to have the group manageable. Sometimes we just can't have a larger room than we have available, and so we have to control the class size. So there may be reasons to get on a wait list. Now, we do have a cancellation policy, and that's all listed in your Academy brochure, but just to talk a minute about it, 24 hours before the class starts is fine for a cancellation policy, except sometimes we have, for instance, a trip that has to be paid for farther ahead, or a class with, say, art supplies that we have to order farther ahead. In that case, if we have a wait list, somebody from the wait list will be called to take your spot, and they will take the charges. If you have any more questions about that, please give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. And I'd love to talk to you if you'd like to participate as a presenter. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about this semester. I'm very excited about it. We have two fascinating Coffee with a Neighbor programs right off the bat. The first one is with Martin Chappell, our Executive Vice President for Shell Point. He's going to spend some time with the lucky people who are able to get tickets for his Coffee with a Neighbor #1. He prefers a more intimate space for interchange, and he's going to have his program in the Grand Cypress room. If you weren't able to get a ticket, don't worry about it. You'll have other opportunities to get to know him better. George Waters of Palm Acres will also share fresh insights from his recent time in Cuba with his Coffee with a Neighbor focused on teaching videography in Cuba. We have a nice, timely look at politics this semester. We're introducing two newer residents who just happen to be political science professors. Melissa Butler of Royal Bonnet will boost our electoral knowledge, and Wayne Swanson of Turbine will tackle the implications of the angry voter and the current presidential election. And then he'll bring us where the debates and polls are taking us in his presentation, Debates, Polls, and What's Next. Our senior pastor of the village church, Reverend Andy Hawkins, will provide us with a biblical view of church and state, always of interest, and particularly now. And Dick Brown, who teaches our Academy math classes that are geared to those who never liked math, will give us a fascinating look at voting systems around the world and right here in the United States. Looking at politics beyond our borders that surely do affect us here is Thomas Terrell. He's a retired international lawyer and former economic advisor to the UK government. He'll discuss the rise again in Europe of those dangerous isms of the 1930s, nationalism and socialism. Yes, he will also speak to the ramifications of Brexit, as he did last semester. And then our favorite historian, Professor Adrian Kerr, has several brand new classes for us, including the world's most famous trees from history, a class on Edison, Westinghouse, and Tesla. Then he's going to explain partition to us, how England managed the separation of Southern Ireland, of Pakistan, and of India. And he has a brand new round of trivia for another Lunch with Trivia contest. There's also art. Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve never stops coming up with new and exciting opportunities to challenge our creativity in the arts. And Debbie Melchi of Periwinkle never stops with new and exciting crafts. And we have writing and word usage and birds and butterflies and the changing face of nature. We are even having a birthday party for America's first great woman composer, Amy Beach. Her music is included. We have some amazing Academy on the Go educational field trips, some Legacy Foundation seminars that keep us right on top of all things financial, from the implications of Brexit on investing to identity theft. Experts will also take us into the heart of the Syria refugee crisis, and also we'll learn how photojournalism keeps us in touch with the world. And there's more. I look forward to sharing it all with you. Our resident hosts and I will be glad to greet you at the door when you come to class. We look forward to seeing you at an Academy class soon.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is petite steak served with baked potato and broccoli. For dinner, they have their a la carte menu. The soup of the day is lima bean. In the Island Cafe, the sandwich special is a bacon blue cheeseburger with fries for $7.95. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are tilapia piccata for $16.95 or chicken marsala for $14.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Welcome to the Village Church Connections. I'm Don Pullen. My wife Eleanor and I did something last Saturday that was a first for us. We were invited by Dr. Charles O'Connor to join him as he led a group on a wet hike at 6 Mile Cypress Slough Preserve. We had driven past the sign for the slough on 6 Mile Cypress Parkway a few times, and because we enjoy the outdoors and had no clue what a slough was, we wondered what an area with such a long name was really all about. Dr. O'Connor is the vice president of the Friends of the 6 Mile Cypress Slough Preserve, a not-for-profit advocacy and support organization committed to preserving, protecting, and promoting 6 Mile Cypress Slough Preserve for the future generations. He is also a science teacher at Lexington Middle School, whose room is adjacent to Eleanor's. So when the invite came, we figured we had a chance for a new adventure. We met Dr. O'Connor and the rest of the group in the parking lot at the slough. He told the group about the slough, that it's over 3,400 acres of wetland in Fort Myers that measures approximately 11 miles long and 1/3 of a mile wide. The slough is a natural drainage way, collecting runoff water from a 33 square mile watershed area during periods of heavy or prolonged rainfall. During the wet season, a depth of 2 to 3 feet of water make the slough comparable to a wide, shallow stream. This fresh water flows southwest through the slough and empties into the Estero Bay. It deters flooding, recharges shallow wells, protects the health of the Gulf of Mexico, and is a wildlife habitat for numerous plant and animal species, including a few considered to be endangered. A myriad of animals like otters, alligators, turtles, wading birds, and more live at the slough year-round. Others, like migrating birds and butterflies, use the slough as a feeding area or a winter home. It also serves as a corridor for wildlife by providing a safe route of travel. After our brief introduction, we proceeded to walk into the slough. That's right. He led us off the path so that we could walk into shallow water that got deeper with each step. 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 feet. The water was rising as we walked further and further in. After we had traveled a few hundred feet, Dr. O'Connor stopped and began to tell us about what we were seeing. There were plants floating on the water, submerged trees, insects, and aquatic plants living underwater. We went further in and saw some interesting birds and a snake swimming by, well out of our path, thankfully. Soon the water was 4 feet deep as our walk in the slough continued. We finally arrived at a large cypress tree that was estimated to be 350 years old, an amazing sight to behold. We had also come to the deepest part of our wet hike, almost 5 feet. We were all pretty wet, to say the least, but had wonderful smiles on our faces as we retraced our steps back out of the slough. I share this story with you in order to remind you of 2 spiritual challenges that I saw demonstrated. First, The enjoyment of our group was predicated on our willingness to watch out for one another. As we were walking through the water, it was very difficult to see things that were in the water that might cause us to stumble or fall. Submerged cypress knobs, water-covered fallen branches, and sudden changes in elevation had the potential of making the walk very hazardous. Our solution was to point out to the person immediately behind you any potentially dangerous situation. That allowed everyone the opportunity to make the necessary adjustments to keep safe. In the letter the Apostle Paul wrote to the Philippian church, he put it this way: each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. When we were doing this exact thing last Saturday on the slough, Paul reminds us that we are acting like Jesus. It's one way that we can love God and love others around us, watching out for one another. The second challenge is this: we were willing to walk into the slough because we had someone leading us, a guide. Dr. O'Connor did a wonderful job pointing out many interesting things and leading the way. It gave us great confidence that we would be fine, even though we'd never done this before. But he had. In fact, he'd done it 100 times with groups of all sizes and ages, all without a problem. Aren't we challenged to successfully navigate the twists and turns of life as we walk into an unknown future? When we face difficulties, who do we trust? Who's our guide? King David, penning the beautiful words of Psalm 23, reminds us who he is trusting. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. God is willing to be our guide if we seek him with all our hearts and relinquish control of the reins. Nothing we face is ever too big for him to handle. He will guide us through thick and thin, through times of blessing and times of heartache, through times where the path is clear and times when it's covered with water. So wherever your walk takes you today or tomorrow, if the Lord gives you another day, look out for the needs of those around you and let God be your guide. You won't be disappointed. So there you have it. 2 spiritual challenges from the wet walk at the 6-mile Cypress Slough Preserve. And thank you for watching the Village Church Connections. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for today's program. Return tomorrow when Terry Colath will talk with Beth Crenshaw about her new title as volunteer manager. And Ruth Duber returns to her kitchen to show us how to make a delicious recipe that will fill your home with a sweet aroma. Until then, this has been Shell Point Today for Tuesday, September 6th. I'm Rich Nation.
And I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.